You know, the risk management industry is a new space for me. I think from the point of view that I'm coming at this from the social media world, and so from reputational management specifically. I mean, in terms of who I really respect in that space, I think in the finance industry, it's difficult to say because all the CROs are having to deal with a very new environment for them. And of course, culturally, the finance industry isn't naturally inclined to engage with social media channels. So I think you'll find that, you know, a lot of banks are starting to move in that direction. I think in terms of how they're engaging, SEB Bank does some fantastic work. Their launch of the bench community a few years ago I think is an excellent piece of assessing the risks of operating in this space and building a finance community. And let's face it, it's a community that doesn't like to talk in public because there's lots of regulations, there are sort of cultural speed bumps along the way, and even now I'm still meeting people on the finance circuit who, you know, are very reluctant to get involved in talking in social spaces. So I wouldn't put my finger on an individual, but I'd say if you look at the work of SEB Bank and some of the Latin banks actually, Puente Bank has actually done some really interesting work there. And also we're seeing, you know, the likes of Clearstream and Euromoney in that sort of Euroclear rather in that custody space, starting now to develop online tools and social tools, which are actually, you know, very innovative. So I think there's a lot of people actually who I'd respect in that space.
On the one hand, I think there are two areas that I respect. One is other academics, in terms of what work they have done over the years. So I'm very partial, of course, to some of my colleagues at New York University Stern School, people like Anthony Saunders in the credit risk area, and Ingo Walter in areas that are not very much addressed here, but in reputation risk and operations risk. Darrell Duffy from Stanford University is one of my favorites. We have a great time talking about these issues. People like the KMV folks who develop their product. In terms of firms, you know, it's very hard to differentiate, but I'm very much impressed over the years with the major accounting firms like PwC, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, and KPMG, and their risk staff. And then, of course, there's firms like Oliver Wyman, which do a lot of work following on some work that I've done a long time in building and monitoring and testing credit risk models, which is my baby, so to speak.
For me personally, that would be Professor Altman. Always nice topics, very intriguing research, and always nice discussions on the occasions I was able to have that discussion with him.